Metahuman.
So yes, we're gonna play Metahuman Inc.
Part 2.
again.
Part 2. Part 2.
What the fuck was our guy's name?
Sejii de Groot.
Sejii? Really?
Sejii. I think that's how you pronounce it. Fuck it. You know what? It's
Shinji.
our name. My name is Sejii.
Okay.
Okay.
Shinji.
You peep through the rear door of the Perch Hotel's conference hall. 40 or so people are seated there, fidgeting and chatting to one another in low voices. Most are gentle.
They said low voices, not deep.
You recognize a handful of others as employees of Metahuman. They're waiting for you, Dr. de Groot, says Winston. I hope you feel up to a little improv, Miss Nakamura. Lead me to the podium. Okay. Give me a category, a location, and a job.
No, that's not how this works.
You're a poop shoveler. You and Winston, led by his assistant, pass through the aisle in the center of the room. The assembled audience members fall silent. The only sound that remains is the soft click of digital cameras. Winston takes the raised podium, pauses a moment, and then says, Metahuman Incorporated is a company in crisis. Not a financial or ethical crisis, as some sources of media have incorrectly reported. Looking at you, Bob. Oh.
Poor Bob.
Nor even a crisis of the heart, of the soul. A company, a corporation, is at its core merely a group of people working together toward a common goal, and Metahuman contains the biggest, the brightest, the most motivated
Common of
team
goals.
of people I have ever been fortunate enough to work alongside. No, our crisis has been one of focus, of direction. For some weeks now, we have lacked ahead.
Lacked ahead. Yeah? You want to keep going with that sentence?
I just kind of want to leave it there. Like, this is the end of the video. We're done. We've lacked a leader with the vision to drive us to resounding success this coming year. This is no longer the case. There has been much speculation concerning who would take that role. That speculation may now end. Earlier today, I had the honor of being the first to extend my congratulations to the new Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Sejii de Groot. I don't give you the same honor. He nods once at the crowd before him, and as they break into rather restrained applause, he takes a step back, leaving the podium clear. You're up, fucker, he murmurs.
Fucker.
You step to the podium, momentarily envious of Winston's inability to see the crowd before you because he's fucking blind. The applause dies down. You clear your throat and begin your speech. Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming here today. Emphasize a company strategy based on innovation and dared decisions, cause strategy building well-being, announce a strategy that is neither overly aggressive nor innovative and daring decisions or methodology, because I don't want to do the neutral thing.
Okay, so let's go with the second one. I like that one.
Second one, cautious strategy.
I don't know about cautious.
All right, let's go fucking batshit crazy. We're gonna fucking develop lasers that come out of your nipples. Metahuman. Like most of you in this room, I have over the past weeks given some thought to the identity of the next CEO of Metahuman. My own name was, I confess, quite far down that list. A few chuckles heard around the room. And yet I have been nominated for this position. Why? Because Metahuman is a company in need of change and innovation. What advantage do I have over the other, more established candidates who might have taken this position? A fresh perspective, new ideas. The response to your announcement is fairly muted, but then it's an approach that is hardly original. The trick will be to convince the group in front of you that you truly have the ability to back up this claim of innovative ability. You pause a moment to allow your words to sink in. At least nobody seems overtly negative. Then you go on. Albert Einstein was a lot smarter than I am. He once said imagination is more important than building knowledge. You know what else is important? Having this dick. Having a multi-billion-dollar corporation to back up that imagination. Am I right?
No.
In the past, Metahuman CEOs have not been honest with you. I will be first by admitting that many of our enhancements are based on extraterrestrial technologies. I'm lucky enough to become a head of a company that has remarkable foresight. New technologies are being developed and that have been pre-ordered. I am confident that we will maintain our leading position in the sector. You tell the truth. I'm only a CEO because of the goodwill of my predecessor and the company's shareholders.
Bullshit.
I'm not sure why they want me for this job, but I hope I can live up to the trust they placed me in.
Only reason he was hired as CEO because he went to Make-A-Wish Foundation and they gave him the job.
You have toe cancer. Congratulations, you're a CEO. So I'm thinking either the first one or the last one.
I'm just gonna let you pick.
All right, I'm gonna go lie because I'm a dick.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
It's a fine pronouncement, but the audience isn't buying it. Metahuman's legal troubles have occurred only recently. The company simply hasn't had enough time to develop a firm response, nor have you convinced the crowd before you that that Metahuman created a prior contingency strategy in anticipation of such problems.
You're the worst decision maker ever.
Most of the journalists before you are media veterans, and they see your statement for exactly what it is: PR-friendly hot air. Yeah. Winston steps up to the podium, rescuing you from the resounding silence of the room. We'll open up the floor for a few quick questions, please, now. He says. Oh, base leadership 30, base morale 25, base intimidation 20. Don't know what these stats mean. Several journalists raise their hands. You pick one out, a man in his early 30s with graying temples. Philip Mace of Suffolk Investor. The fuck? He says. Your company...
Fuck he says?
No. Your company is currently under a legal injunction barring you from using or selling any of your existing technology on the grounds that its source may be legally dubious. This has also impacted your customers, who have spent large sums of money to pre-order enhancements. You should have provided. Do you plan to reimburse them?
No.
A difficult question. The injunction that Philip Mace is referring to is a major concern at Metahuman right now, and realistically, any attempt to reimburse the money spent on forcibly abandoned contracts would likely bankrupt the company in its early state. The injunction was not imposed by us, and so not a responsibility of ours. The customers should speak to the U.S. government about restitution. You tell the truth, yes, we do, but not now as yet. That would leave us in an unstable, untenable position. But later, yes, I'll put that in writing for you. You lie. Yes, ultimately, we do. This isn't feasible yet, but later, when we're in a more stable position, we intend to discuss that with our customers. We don't have plans to reimburse our cash. I'm fucking tired today. But should these customers continue to trade with us, we will give them preferential terms that reflect their losses. Absolutely. We value our customers enormously, but the truth is, the legal injunction has hurt us. Unfortunately, we can't reimburse their losses. We don't have plans to reimburse hard cash, or we value our customers. I don't know. I like the idea of giving discounts.
Yeah, we value our customers.
Okay. A muted response. The crowd before you has heard such assurances before, and your audience knows that these promises all too rarely become reality. You select another journalist with a hand raise. Ariel Rodriguez, the money score, she says, by way of introduction. Staying with the subject of your company current injunction. How do you feel this ruling is fair? What steps are you taking to fight it? Well, first off, Ariel, your fucking voice is obnoxious. The injunction is likely a piece of devious legal maneuvering by Metahuman's competitors or its outright enemies. The rulings contend that Metahuman's technologies are either stolen or fail to conform to U.S. regulations. And Metahuman is hard-pressed to defend itself without publicly revealing its works with magic and extraterrestrials. These claims are scandalous, we'll fight them, and we'll disprove them. This injunction is part of an underhanded legal attack on our company. It's a fine example of how the American legal system can be abused. Yes, it's totally unfounded, but it's also acted as a catalyst, forcing us to innovate. In the long term, it will make us stronger. It is a small setback, and only that. We are developing new technology. A company as old and established as Metahuman won't fail because of some concerns about red tape. I don't want to go with the American justice system bullshit. Totally unfounded catalyst forcing us to innovate. What do you think about that one? Either that or these claims are scandalous.
Let's go with yes.
Okay. Wait, was that like yes as in the answer with the word yes in it, or whatever you fucking pick? Both?
Yeah, why
not? Let's see. Your response puts a positive spin on the problem, but Metahuman staff isn't feeling so positive at the moment.
Who gives a fuck
Your
about
assurances fall flat. You nod toward a third journalist and he stands. Anton Clark, a sophistic investor, he said. Somebody from your TV show already asked.
Yo, speak the fuck up! We can't hear you back here.
Don't get greedy. He smiles, then goes on. It concerns me that Metahuman has appointed a complete unknown as CEO in such a dangerous time. Aren't you simply being used as a scapegoat? Somebody to point the finger at when that company inevitably crumbles?
Like, you see this house? This car? That bitch?
Are you a patsy? No, I'm a Sejii. It's a question that's been lurking in the back of your mind since Winston offered you the job. Metahuman won't crumble, Anton. Though, if it does, feel free to call me up and say, I told you so. I assure you, I'm here because I have the skill to guide the company through this difficult period. No, that's not true. This company isn't the Machiavellian monsters you suggest. Maybe. Just maybe. I'm here to answer serious questions next. I like that one.
You gonna go with that one?
Either that or this one.
I'll go with the first one.
Okay. Your answer doesn't come across as a great surprise to the group before you. Perhaps they were hoping for somebody more inspiring to take the job at Metahuman. You take the next question. Robin Goodchild, she says. She is thin with sandy-colored hair and freckles. Well, this is the first fucking, description of a character we've gotten through this, whole game, except for fucking blind-ass Winston. Where is Anaru Katariki?
The other dude.
Katariki. I've got it down now. The woman is more casually dressed than the rest of the journalists in the room. She looks like a bum. She watches you patiently.
Is that what it says?
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
She watches you patiently with almost a challenging look about her, tapping the base of her pen against her chin. Robin Goodchild, you have to remember that name. It's a fine question. Anaru Katariki. Fuck, I had it just a second ago. Anaru KKK, your immediate predecessor and CEO of Metahuman, disappeared several weeks ago. To your knowledge, nobody knows where he is. No idea. If you find him, let me know. This dude is currently under investigation for various acts of corporate crime, and it helps if I don't know. He isn't here, which it turns out is good news for me. I don't know, but let's remember this country, a man is innocent until proven guilty, and I hope he turns up safe and sound. I don't know, but if he shows up in my ceiling after stealing from my company, I'm a crush him myself. Good news for me? Which one do you want? Fucking pick something.
Let's go with the second one.
Okay. There's a classic corporate response, and yet what else could you have expected to be said? It seems it is not enough to satisfy the group before you. However, looking around the room, you have a feeling that some people here, particularly the members of staff of Metahuman Incorporated present, were hoping for more. I don't know why I'm whispering so much. I gotta stop doing that. It's barely showing up on the fucking audio forms. Legit, I want you to look at how just it slowly curves down into silence. One final question, please, announces Winston, the 8-foot-tall gorilla with glasses, even though he's blind. You nod down to one of the older journalists in the room, a man holding a balding man in a too-tight suit. He stands. Daniel Keel, The Believer magazine, he says. For some time now, I've been looking into anecdotal evidence of the use of extraterrestrial technologies at Metahuman, and even angelic and demonic forces at work within your company. Would you care to discuss that? Many of the other journalists in the room laugh, or make derisive comments. But Daniel looks at you earnestly, awaiting your response. It would be wiser perhaps not to confirm suspicions. I evade the questions by simply asking, do you believe these anecdotal reports, Daniel? I opt for sarcasm. Absolutely. No comment? I won't bullshit you, Daniel. Every possibility is on the table. Every single fucking possibility. I say my prayers at night, Daniel. That's about as close to angels as I like to get. It's a ludicrous question. I won't answer it. I don't want to hurt his feelings.
So...
I won't bullshit you, Daniel.
Yes, go with that.
Fuck it, my boss is gonna kill me.
He's blind. He can't see shit.
Your statement doesn't convince anybody in the crowd before you, save perhaps Daniel himself. Worse, it seems like a transparent attempt to provoke a little controversy in the hopes of garnering a few more column inches. I got enough inches on my column as is, girl. I don't need no more. I got actual angels. I am an angel. When truth is stranger than fiction, honestly, it becomes too incredible to be believed. Winston steps up to the podium once more, saying, I'm afraid we'll have to draw things to a close. Thank you all for taking the time. A few more photos. Then Miss Nakamura leads you and Winston out of the room's side doors. Ooh, fuck, man. Once out of sight, the journalists, however... Once out of sight of the journalists, however, Winston takes you by the side...
We've done this.
No, we didn't record last time. Winston takes you by the arm, halting you. Quickly, judge the mood of the room. How did it go? What are they going to write about us? You peek back to the door, watching and listening, trying to guess the overall mood of the room.
Nothing. They're not
There's
saying
a buzz
shit.
There's a buzz of chatter in the room about what a poor choice you are as the CEO of Metahuman. The crowd fucking hates you. You are a joke, a figure of ridicule, and every person in the room is united in their destination of you.
Well, they can all suck a butt.
You'll find in the coming days and weeks that this opinion carried over to the popular press, and worse, that it colors people's perception of Metahuman as a whole.
Well, they can suck a dick.
Perception, not perspection. That's not even a fucking word.
Yes, it is. It is now. We made it one.
Mm-hmm. Copyright, trademark, electricsquidentertainment.com, 1-800 for you. Also copyrighted. Fine, says Winston, ignoring one or two obscenities shouted in your direction.
Bitch.
Let's go. Go back to the tower. Now the really hard work begins. Like the tower from Destiny. So I'm chill with that.
No, Stark Tower.
Stark Tower. The Avengers Tower. Remember? You changed it.
That's right.
Several days pass, and you struggle just to keep up with the pressures of your job. As a bonus to your already substantial salary, Metahuman loans you a company-owned apartment in downtown Seattle near the Metahuman Incorporated Tower. It's gorgeous, spacious, high-ceilinged home with a view overlooking Washington Park. Yet you spend so little time here that you've barely had a chance to move even your essential possessions from your former home, much further out of the city. Nor have you really even had a chance to pause and take stock of your objectives in your new role. Some time ergo, you were committed to research and innovation for science. Perhaps you could have taken up that position at a prominent university if you'd had a mind to, but knowledge without application seemed redundant endeavor to you at the time. Why commit yourself to science if you lacked the opportunity to profit from that knowledge? Entering a company such as Metahuman seemed like a natural choice. And yet, now here you are the head of that company. You wonder whether it may be time to revisit and reevaluate those early ambitions you held. One morning, Winston calls up to your office. We need to talk about your research department. Can you come down to see me?
Nah, he's a bitch. We hate
Okay.
you.
Metahuman's research department is essentially its lifeblood, says Winston several minutes later.
He yawns 7 minutes later.
Once you are settled, and once you are seated in his plush office, and his assistant gives you a hot beverage.
A kiss.
Is it that booty, girl? I want that booty. Our core business is the development of procedures to enhance the human body and its capabilities. Enhancements, we'll call them. I mean, that's kind of what an enhance to the human body is. So
Enhancements, we'll call them. That's it.
Very creative, Winston.
You blind son of a bitch.
Now I know why you're blind. because you can't see the potential of words. Now, as I've mentioned before, the current legal brouhaha swirling around Metahuman has resulted in an order to totally shut down all existing enhancement research. We're forbidden from even using any previously developed technologies to create enhancements. What? We're starting out from zero. We have a couple dozen smaller non-core projects. That's not a good fucking brand of metal. Non-core. Fuck that shit. Pharmaceutical supplies and so on, that are not bound by the same restrictions and allow us to meet our operational overhead, but just barely. Right now, Metahuman is bleeding. You might want to fucking put a band-aid on that shit then, Winston. Like, fuck. And so it falls on me to rebuild our line of enhancements from nothing, you say? Winston nods. First, I want you to think about recruiting a new head of research. I've taken the liberty of speaking with Mr. Leach to clear your agenda for this afternoon, and of setting up.
Suck us dry.
I've taken the liberty of blah 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 for this afternoon, and setting up interviews with the top 3 people on the short list I've prepared for you.
Why is it a short list?
Oh, because it's not a long list. You can't really have the fucking short or long list.
Yeah, you can.
Why?
I don't know. Let's just leave it as that.
And this is why I'm in charge of Electric Squid Entertainment, and you are my lackey. Because you know nothing of business, sir. Fuck the Mexicans.
You are a Mexican.
Tronal dump.
Just go.
For legal reasons.
Just read.
The first candidate is our current head of research, Claudette Byron. Winston goes on. There's no reason to keep her. There's what? There's no reason not to keep her. Oh, okay. Fuck. Fucking get rid of this bitch. We don't like her. So if you choose, she's 21 years old and has already worked with us for 3 years. She's a bona fide child prodigy, and you aren't likely to find another candidate as technologically as proficient as she is. If you prefer to keep your focus on the research department, on our ultra-high technology, you could do worse than allowing Miss Byron to keep her job. Keep that in mind. The second candidate is simply called Nemesis, or rather Professor Nemesis. He's a sorcerer of remarkable skill. This just went fucking batshit crazy off the rails.
He's a sorcerer.
Like everything's like, oh, we're gonna focus on science and all this shit, and everything's gonna be incredible.
But
also,
wizard.
He's a sorcerer of remarkable skills and has some history in independently developing magical enhancements, though for more personal advantage than commercial exploitation. He's... Winston pauses, choosing his words carefully. Some call him the Brain Eater. And he's been investigated by the police departments of several cities in connection to disappearances. Still, he's never been convicted of any crime.
We can't hire this dude. We're not hiring him.
Excuse Professor Nemesis, I've noticed that we have like no other employees now. And
most of their brain is missing.
Yeah, like something's fucking going on. You just I don't want you to get hurt specifically, so stay safe. You weren't entirely surprised that Metahuman would consider Nemesis for such a prominent position, even given his shady history. The company's own morals are frequently rather gray. The third candidate is more of an enigma, says Winston. His name is John Tarr, and by all accounts he's quite versatile. He's worked in a variety... John Tarr. That's the name of Martian Manhunter.
No, it's not.
Yes, isn't it?
No, it's not John Tarr.
I know it's...
His first name is John, but not Tarr.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. I mean...
It's not John Tarr.
But okay, whatever. And by all accounts, he's quite versatile. He's worked in a variety of companies and organizations and something of a journeyman in both scientific and magical areas. We don't have a great deal of information about his earlier background, though. We can't even say for sure what nationality he is, or if he's, well, human. He isn't human. I'm told that he's very imposing to look at, says Winston. You'll understand more when you see him. Anyway, as of now, you can access all 3 candidates' profiles, including preliminary interview details from your office. You thank Winston and leave. As he says, you may currently access further information from the stats screen. Show stats. Executive bio. That's gross. That's a World of Warcraft joke or MMO joke for any of you who know what that means. Enhancements, company profile, research and development, view candidates on fucking whatever. I want to view fucking Detectar.
Detectar?
Detectar.
Tar.
You don't? Okay, whatever.
Nope, I don't get it.
Age unknown. What? Age of Ultron. 34. Yeah, I really don't care. I'm a real talk with you. Keep that in mind. Stat screen, blah, blah, blah. Winston has asked all 3 candidates to come to Metahuman at the same time. Perhaps it's part of some psychological strategy on his part. This way, he allows the candidates to meet one another and forces 2 of them to wait. Leech enters your office and tells you that he's going to suck your blood. And tells you that Claudette Byron and John Tarr have arrived on schedule. Professor Nemesis is busy because he's eating a fucking brain. You decide to start with one of the candidates currently waiting in your room. You have Leech ask Claudette Byron, you have Leech ask John Tarr to come to your office. You go to the waiting room and speak to the candidates yourself. I'm gonna be Mr. Friendly. Hey guys, one of you isn't getting a job. You follow Leech into the waiting room, curious to know how the candidates relate to each other. You motion for Leech to stop. Just stop.
Fucking Leech.
Jesus Christ, you creep me the fuck out. And you listen to
Sonny Leech.
I think that's his last name.
Yeah. Who cares?
You listen a few moments from outside the door. John Tarr is leading the conversation, quizzing Claudette on various aspects of her work so far at Metahuman. His tone is friendly and interested rather than aggressive. Claudette answers articulately and succinctly.
What?
Whatever. Succinctly. Sure. Only expanding on information when John Tarr asks her to. Satisfied, you step into the waiting room. John Tarr is a giant of a man, though thin. His skin is gray. Fucking weird.
Yeah,
unhealthy looking.
We're picking him.
Claudette, by comparison, is small, slight, with curly brown hair, and boobs. Hello, you say. Thank you both for coming in. John Tarr, would you come to my office? Or Miss Byron, would you come to my office?
John Tarr.
Okay. John Tarr rises, his head touching the ceiling. Ow, he says. Good luck, he says to Claudette in his deep baritone. Then follows you back to your office, dragging his skull all the way
across the ceiling.
As you open the door, you hear a soft when he hits his head. You consider opening your question for John Tarr. You consider your opening question. Okay. Your profile is very vague concerning your origin and training. Would you tell me about that? Your professional experience is quite diverse. You've chosen not to focus on just one area. I see from your profile that you've worked with SETI, whatever that is.
Satire.
Do you have, how best to put this, a lot of experience with extraterrestrials? Or, bruh, you're a fucking alien, ain't you?
Let's just go with the first one.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
I like John Tarr. We're not going to be mean to him.
All right. I can tell you nothing of my early years, save that I attended no university and that I apprenticed with no master of craft or sorcery. So you're saying your skills are entirely self-taught. John Tarr smiles. Bitch, I might be. No. I apologize if I seem needlessly vague, Dr. de Groot. It is not by choice. I have obligations that inhibit me from speaking of my earlier years. I can discuss neither my origins nor my trainings. Boo. You must realize that would be difficult for me to place someone about whom I know so little into such a prominent position of this company. And yet, sadly, I must keep my silence regardless. You tend to remain at companies for a relatively short time. If I offered you this post, how long would you plan to stay at Metahuman? You're quite a generalist. Do you tend to prefer working with magic or technology? Your experience is quite diverse. Do you have any professional regrets? I'm not short of expert candidates for this position. Apart from your knowledge and your experience, what sets you apart from your peers? Yo, my nigga, you want to shit talk everybody? I don't want to allow the interview to go on too long. I start considering my closing question.
Damn, it's either the fourth one or the first one.
I know, right?
Is what I would go for.
I really want to make sure that we keep him on more than what sets him apart. I mean, you saw this fucking resume and shit. And he's a fucking
let's go for the first
alien.
one.
Very few people can see the future, he says, so that is a difficult question to answer. If I may, I'll respond with a couple questions of my own. How long can Metahuman maintain my interest? How long can you offer me resources and opportunities that I won't find at any other company in any other field? The truth is, if I grow bored here, I may move on, and yet, knowing Metahuman as you surely do you believe that I'll grow bored very quickly?
Holy shit, this guy's a badass.
How
do you respond to some shit like that? Nigga said, yo, you gonna keep me interested, motherfucker? You gonna give me all the money I want? You gonna give me more,
it looks
bitch?
like we get to ask him all the questions. You're a generalist. Do you prefer to work with magical technology? I enjoy working with both, and I'm quite proficient with both. It is true that I'm not a specialist. Perhaps I don't have the raw technological talent that Claudette Byron has, for example, though I'm considerably more experienced overall than she is. He smiles. Despite his genial manner, you almost believe that he's belittling his competition. Your experience is quite diverse. Do you have any professional regrets? Of course, everyone does.
John Tar.
Answers? Or every other word.
I
don't
regret
any
of
the
other.
What? Stop it, Michael. Jobs I've taken in and of themselves. I've carefully considered each position before accepting it, and I haven't made any truly poor choices. But when a project or a job hasn't been the challenge I'd hoped for, I regret that it might have closed off other possibilities or avenues. He's turning into an alien. I wish I had the time to spread myself across every project, like physically lay down on it.
Yes.
Quantum accelerator. Melt. Every project that takes my interest, but I don't. John Tar is starting to look fidgety. You decide to ask one last question. If I recruit you, I might ask you to create enhancements that will ultimately be sold to military forces.
To customize
to customers whose business is killing? Are you comfortable with that? John Tar, with your airy manner and your strange habits, I just don't know if I can take you seriously as a candidate. Are you for real, or are you fucking imaginary? You blink and he disappears. He was gone. Oh, was he ever there in the first place? I mean, I feel like I'm speaking with a character actor.
You decided to try to provoke an emotional
I doubt I can
response from
recruit
him.
you. Your freakish appearance and habits would have... Fucking Jesus Christ!
Oh, hell no, we're going for the first one.
First one, fuck.
I like John
he
Tar.
thinks for a few seconds and then says, the greatest sadness I see in life is the closing of doors and shearing away of liberation and possibility. In that sense, killing a person is the greatest crime of all. It is the eradication of not just one life, but the lives this person would have lived. And yet, would you kill one man if this prevented him from killing 20? I would. As I say, I consider murder the greatest crime of all, but it can be justified sometimes. If this company's moral stance repeatedly contravened my own sense of ethics, such as they are, perhaps I would wander away after a time and go someplace else.
I fucking love John Tar.
Oh my god, that was the deepest shit I've ever read before. And I read a book about the Marianas Trench. Hey! Come on, that was funny.
No, I hate you.
He halts then. You discuss some of the more practical matters for the job for a few minutes longer. Precise responsibilities, salaries, and so on. Thanking him for his time, you accompanying him back to the waiting room. Let's see. Are we gonna have to interview the other chick now?
Possibly.
Yes. Okay. We will interview this last chick, and then we will continue on in the next video. So,
little bitch.
What's up, little nugga? You tell John Tar he'll be informed of your decision very soon. Then you turn your attention to the other waiting room's occupants. Professor Nemesis has arrived. He is dark-haired, dark-eyed, and short, barely taller than Claudette Byron. The two of them sit in an edgy silence opposite of each other. Given the professor's late arrival, you decide to see Claudette next. Miss Byron, could you come to my office? Professor, I'll be with you shortly. Take your time, he says with a wide smile. I don't know why I went fucking Constantine Black Guy with that.
Constantine Black Guy?
Yeah, the voodoo doctor from Constantine.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about now,
I
right?
do.
Constantine. I love his fucking voice. But, take your time, he says with a wide smile. I'm going to use that as his voice from now on.
Yeah,
I
why
might
not?
want to
Fuck
hire
it.
him just to use that voice. Claudette follows you through to your room and takes a seat opposite of you. You consider your first question for Claudette, keenly aware that she is interviewing with you to keep a job that she has already ably performed for the last 3 years. Remember that you may view Claudette's profile as well as the profiles of other candidates in your stats screen. Stats screen! Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Claudette? Something other than your very impressive list of credentials. Talking about them tits. You worked at Metahuman for 3 years now. What are your impressions of the company and the work it does? You were personally recruited to this company by... Can you tell me how that came about? You worked at Metahuman for 3 years now. Other than your impressive list of credentials. I want to know this bitch personally.
Let's go to her stat screen.
The question seems to throw her off balance a little. What would you like to know? I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona. My mother is a... Oh, I'm sorry. I need to do a voice for her. My mother is a school teacher. My father is an insurance salesman. I have an older brother and sister. I left home much earlier than they did, though. And I managed to secure a scholarship when I was 10. I pretty much went to college, but having to
Shut up. I'm pretty sure no one can understand you now.
She seems to be drying up, so you ask, what the fuck is wrong with your voice? You psycho bitch. Do you manage to travel back to Arizona very often these days? I don't know. With that, she falls silent. You reprimand yourself for asking such a closed question. Apart from your work here, do you have any interests, hobbies? Do you like long walks on the beach? How about sucking dick? She has to think for a few moments. Almost embarrassed, she says, I like that show Star Trek. I prefer the Next Generation to the original series, though.
Did you seriously say that?
Yeah, like, why the fuck? Yeah, no, that's actually written in this. Like, it's not. I'm not bullshitting you here. Like, that's the last line of text. What the fuck? Can you tell us some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career so far? Your technical qualifications, yes, koala, are impeccable. Do you believe you have the management experience to run a whole research department? How would you feel if I brought more magicians and magical beings into the research department at Metahuman? Holy shit. All of your work at Metahuman so far is currently under a strict legal injunction. Can you elaborate on that? Oh. I don't know. We get to ask 3 questions, so I'm going to stick with this one first. Can you tell me a little bit about the biggest challenges you faced in your career so far? Challenges? I haven't really had any. She says, everything has come to me very easily. I suppose, well, if you count my education as part of my career, I guess that being set apart from my contemporaries has always been a challenge. Without meaning to sound arrogant, I am more intelligent than my contemporaries and with the vast majority of the population in general.
She sounds like a cocky bitch.
I know, I kind of like it. I mean intelligence from a purely academic IQ test perspective. I know that in terms of general common sense, I'm no smarter than the next person. But yes, it can sometimes be a challenge to relate to others of any kind of social level. She thinks for a minute, then says, it was tough to leave home and go studying when I was so young. That was a challenge. And have you managed to overcome that challenge? I'm getting there. I have a few friends in Seattle now. Work prevents me from seeing them very often, but yeah, I'm getting there. Your technical qualifications are impeccable. Do you have the medicine? I'm gonna ask her about fucking wizards. She blinks a couple of times and says, well, that possibility would be open to you, and I have worked with beings that fall in the realm of witchery several times in my tenure at Metahuman, so I could certainly work side by side with magicians and so on. My personal feelings is that my own abilities would be somewhat squandered if you choose to direct Metahuman's work in that direction. If your project for this company is to develop more magical enhancements, I suppose I might not be the best candidate for this position after all. She nods, apparently convincing herself of the appropriateness of her response, then she falls silent and waits for your next question.
What's the next question?
See, I don't want to fucking get rid of her, and the only reason why is because I fear later on in the game she's gonna come up again and fuck us in the ass.
And I don't want to get rid of John Tar because he's John Tar.
I know. All of your work at Metahuman so far is currently under strict legal injunction. There isn't much to tell you, says Claudette. Metahuman is an old company with many enemies, competitors as well as agencies both inside and out of the U.S. that have an interest in seeing that the work we do here stops forever. The company's recent difficulties, bad publicity linked to the misuse of company developments, that any technical flaw, as well as the misconduct and disappearance of have allowed these enemies to step from the shadows and impose legal injunctions on Metahuman's work, she shrugs. The problems you speak of are legal and political, not technical. The pace of the interview is beginning to flag. You decide to finish up with a tough question for Claudette. Some of our main customers are private security firms and overseas military forces. Their main business is killing. Are you comfortable creating enhancements that will be used to commit murder? A focus on technology has been the catalyst for Metahuman's current problems. I intend to focus on magical enhancements, so I can't really see any further use for you in this company. Do you have anything to say that might change my mind?
Bananas.
Oh, damn. I gotta keep her now. You decide to test her response under stress. You worked here so far has landed this company in a legal quagmire. All right. I have to say that for all your technical skill, you strike me as a little girl who's playing at business amongst the grown-ups.
No, we're not going to be
Yeah, I really want to go first. I like the first answer so far for most of these. Claudette thinks for a few moments, then says, that's a question I have asked myself at length for 3 years. 3 years ago when I started my work here. If I'm honest, yes, it makes me uneasy. But I'm not the one who chooses Metahuman's clientels. You are. Even if the enhancements we develop here are sold to customers who are quite clearly use them to clear, that responsibility falls on you, not me. If these hypothetical customers wish to kill each other, and if you wish to help them in that endeavor, will my resignation or refusal to accept this post change that? I didn't think it will. Science and technology will always advance one way or another, and killers will always kill. She's silent for a few seconds, and you don't further press the point. At last, she says, I periodically reevaluate my level and comfort with this company. So far, I've never committed any acts that have greatly troubled my conscience or caused me to threaten resignation. I can't guarantee it will always remain the case, however, but, as I say, that decision is more on your shoulders than mine.
I love her response.
I like both of the responses so far. I mean, you know the fucking Nemesis is probably going to be like, how do you feel about us killing people? Go ahead, dude. I don't give a fuck. I'm a wizard.
That's not how he's supposed to speak, remember?
Oh, man, I really don't give a shit. Smoking a spliff. All right. Well, that's it for Part 2 of Metahuman. It is 43 minutes, so at some point I might actually cut this video in half, because this is going to be a long upload, and I would rather it be easier to enjoy in small chunks as opposed to one massive one. But chances are I will leave it long. So, thank you for watching. Be sure to
Like,
share,
subscribe, I think is a word.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a word? I don't know, because I know there's a button on there that does something.
Yeah, what I need you to do is click that red button that's right about right under here ish.
What?
Just under here. Just get it under here. Under there. And then subscribe to us. So yeah. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.